So that brings us, up to more current times. This is Sheryl Sandberg. She is an American businesswoman, not so much an entrepreneur in the sense, but she has really held an important place within the women's area of bringing women more to the forefront and into equality. She is Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. And she was elected to the board of directors in 2012, becoming the first woman to serve on their board. Before Facebook, she was vice president of global online sales and operations at Google, and she was involved in launching Google's philanthropic arm, google.org. Before Google, Sandberg served as chief staff for the United States Secretary of the Treasury. So she's held some crazy, amazing leadership roles in her lifetime, and she's also been named Time 100 in annual list of the 100 most influential women of the world. I'm going to share a quote with you in just a few minutes. She has written her entrepreneurial path. She wrote this book called Lean In, and if you have not read this book, I'm going to read a quote from it in just a few minutes. This is an amazing book that I would recommend all of you read. It's all about equality in the workplace and how as women, one of her points in the book is how as women, sometimes we hold us back. You know, we don't always encourage women to move forward or seek higher positions. When she tells a story about somebody in a really high up position, and I want to say it was with, I can't quite remember, but she tells a story about how she took this leadership role, this woman, while she was pregnant, and how the women in the corporation were so upset because she said, I'm taking this role, and obviously I'm pregnant, but she said, I'm only going to take 2 to 3 weeks off when the baby comes. So the women were so upset, thinking she was going to change our maternity leave, which is very short as it is. But she had a husband at home, and so he was going to be the primary caretaker of the baby. And so the point being there that Sheryl makes is that those women came down on her so hard without knowing the whole story. She wasn't trying to change the maternity leave that we currently have in place. She was just trying to further her career, and the way that her and her, lifestyle was set up with her husband being the homemaker, it worked for her. So, her point being, we need to know the whole story before we cast judgment, because sometimes we do it to ourselves. I was having lunch with my boys the other day, and I was telling them about this presentation, and they said, you can't do it without Pat in there, Mom. And, I really, to be honest, being from California, I love Pat Summitt, and I've followed her since we've moved here 5 years ago, but I didn't know about her history. And so I really enjoyed going in and reading a little bit about that. She started working for the team. It was really because she was named the assistant coach. It's telling me my time is up. She was the assistant coach, but she became the head of the Lady Vols after the previous coach suddenly quit. She earned $250 monthly her first season, and she would wash the clothes, the uniforms. She even drove the buses at times and would wash the buses. I mean, this woman has worked really hard, and she has changed the face of women's sports, making them more credible, and and when you think about that, she has brought to the forefront how many children or young women, because of her and being able to participate in sports, have received scholarships and opportunities to go to school that wouldn't have otherwise had that opportunity. And my kids told me too that all of her girls have graduated. They all graduated. She made education the primary focus.